If you've been saving your free hit chip for double game week 37, don't worry, I've got you covered with the ultimate team in today's video. And starting off our game week 37 free hit draft, we're going to go with Petrovic in goal. Now, obviously, Sanchez has resumed into training, didn't make the bench for Chelsea's 5-0 battering of West Ham. And I think Petrovic has done enough to secure himself that #1 goalkeeping position, to be honest, because, you know, he's not really put any kind of mistakes or put any foot wrong, to be honest. So I think even with Sanchez back, he still probably is going to be the #1 goalkeeper for double game week 37. Onana's on the bench there as well with a double game week, just in case Petrovic is dropped randomly for Sanchez if he is fully fit and available for double game week 37. But I can't see that being the case. In terms of the two teams they're facing, Nottingham Forest obviously desperate for points down the bottom, so that game might be a little bit more of a kind of potential clean sheet rather than a guaranteed one. Brighton, on the other hand, are not a good side. I know they won 1-0 today, but that's their 4th win of the calendar year, and we're in May. It's not been a great kind of 2024 for them, at least the start of it anyway. So not really, a team that are doing too well. I would expect Chelsea to hopefully keep a clean sheet in that one. Maybe the Forest one as well. Petrovic might pick up some save points with Forest looking to kind of get as many points as possible in this relegation battle down at the bottom end of the Premier League. Moving into our defenders, we're going to start off with Dan Burn, Brighton and Manchester United. Like I said, Brighton doing pretty poorly at the moment. Manchester United, Newcastle, I think could be an absolute Premier League classic of a game. I hope Dan Burn can keep a clean sheet in that one. Manchester United have been one of the better sides in terms of attacking data over the past 5 game weeks for expected goals. So, they're not the worst offence in the league. They're definitely one of the worst defences in the league. That is why, we've got an absence of Manchester United defenders in this team, because they are one of the worst teams in the past 5 game weeks for XG conceded. That's why we've gone with Dan Burn. Hopefully the home game, Newcastle can keep a clean sheet, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. Moving on to our next defender, it is going to be Ped Porro. It's kind of an awkward double, isn't it, for Spurs? Burnley in the first game at home, great fixture for them. And then City in the second one. It's not great. It's not great, is it? It's kind of like you get in one game and then you're just probably going to get some points out of the next one. Spurs defensively, they're not the best team. They've been kind of, torn apart over the past few weeks, and just said he's got to potentially change some of the players, change some of his system around as well to work in the Premier League. Obviously, this is being recorded while the Liverpool-Spurs game is taking place, so if any of the Spurs players do pick up injuries, obviously just do avoid and replace them with any players that I do recommend potentially switching out for, or going for any of the players on the bench. But I think Ped Porro is the one to go for from Spurs. He's the most likely to pick up an attacking return. Van der Veen's there if you need a nice cheap option. Romero as well as a centre-back option. But for me, Porro is the one that you should be looking at from the Spurs defence. Moving on to our next defender, it is going to be Gvardiol. He's picked up 4 attacking returns over the past 5 game weeks. A pretty strong double for Manchester City. Yes, they're both away games, but I do feel very confident in Gvardiol's ability. He's kind of been playing as a right mid rather than a right back over the past few weeks. Maybe a little bit of a cheat code. If you want to get him in on that free hit, I would be perfectly acceptable for it because he's been cooking. There's no way around it. He's been cooking. If you look at his heat map as well and his position when you're watching the games, he is playing as a right mid. So again, seems like a little bit of a cheat code. Playing for one of the best defences in the league this season for XG conceded, and is picking up attacking returns as well. Just seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me. Just the way it seems. I'm just going to put it out there. Right, let's move on into our midfield. We're going to start off with Anthony Gordon. One of the games, is a home fixture against Brighton. Defensively, they've not been great. They are one of the teams that are down there for XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks as well. Anthony Gordon has got a terrific home record as well in the Premier League. The United game, again, I don't really know how to call that one. United, like I said, are one of the worst defences in the league, and I can see Newcastle, who are romping at the moment, doing very well in terms of XG and in terms of kind of, their overall goal scoring ability over the past, I'd say probably 6 to 7 game weeks. They've been absolutely flying in terms of the front line. So Anthony Gordon, an absolute must for me. Another must has to be this man. It is Cole Palmer. Nottingham Forest and Brighton up for Chelsea. You could definitely see them putting a few goals past them. Again, another team doing extremely well on the attacking data front. They just put 5 past West Ham as well. So, you know, they're doing very, very good in terms of goal. Cole Palmer, pretty much a no-brainer for me. Moving on to our next midfielder, it is going to be KDB. Now, with this one, I feel you do have a choice. You could go for Phil Foden, you could go for KDB. The reason I've selected KDB is I just fancy him a little bit more. Not in that way. But yeah, I think he's just a better option to go for, to be honest. If you're looking at the data as well over the past 5 game weeks, he is edging him massively in terms of the expected assists. Expected goals, pretty much the same, but in terms of those expected assists, like I said, blowing Phil Foden away. Now, Foden has played reduced minutes due to illness. KDB, on the other hand, has played, you know, the majority of the game time as well for Manchester City. I think this one could go down to pretty much a coin flip, whichever way your gut is telling you to go with this one, because if you look at the data, there's not too much to compare the two. Minutes as well is pretty tight over the past 5 game weeks, so I think both are great options. The possibility of going for the double up in midfield is on as well for Manchester City, but with this rest of these attackers, I thought it would be more beneficial to go for Gvardiol rather than the 2 double-in City midfielders. Right, let's finish up. Let's move on to our final midfielder. It is going to be Son. It's been a disappointing past 5 game weeks for him and for Spurs as well. 1 goal, 1 assist over the past 5 game weeks. Like I said, this is being filmed while the Liverpool game is taking place. If he goes and absolutely smashes it out of the park, then fair play to him. I think a lot of us wouldn't have brought Son in. The people that aren't free hitting this week wouldn't have brought him in if we knew, you know, that he was going to be this poor. It's not been great. The only thing that I think is keeping him in this side is the fact that Burnley are getting absolutely decimated in the Premier League. So that's a great fixture for them and a home fixture as well. Spurs' attacking data as well has still been pretty decent despite them being pretty poor in front of goal. Then the City game, Son absolutely loves a goal against Manchester City as well. So that one could be a little bit of an anomaly. As well, if Richarlison's not on the pitch, could be taking penalties as well. So, you know, that's a nice little tick, nice little added bonus as well to go with him. You never know what could happen in that game as well. That could be a potential title decider as well. And Spurs could be the team to stop Manchester City from winning the league. I don't think it's going to happen, but stranger things have happened towards the back end of the season. Finishing up, moving into our front line, we're going to start off, of course, with Erling Haaland. 4 goals for him yesterday against Wolverhampton Wanderers. He is probably going to be the most owned captain. No, he's probably going to be the most captain player, in double game week 37. Very good reasons why. Fulham and Tottenham, great set of fixtures off the back of an instrumental performance as well from him. Obviously, City chasing this title down as well and need to win both games. So, yeah, I think for me, this is a very, very easy captaincy pick. No one really, I think you should be looking outside of Erling Haaland, because if it doesn't go right, he could massively decimate your rank this week and basically end your season. Right, let's move on to our final 2 forwards. We're obviously going to have Alexander Isak. A goal and assist for him yesterday. Missed a penalty as well, so it could have been a mega haul. The only concern with him missing the penalty is now I do presume that Callum Wilson will be back on penalty duties. There's an interview flying around in the FPL community Twitter where he's speaking to Mikel Antonio and kind of suggesting he's always going to be the penalty taker, yada yada. He's going to grab the ball as soon as somebody misses one. So yeah, I think Isak has lost his penalty abilities. That does diminish his value as an asset, but I think with Callum Wilson just coming back from a longer term injury, he will see reduced minutes. Isak, on the other hand, has been flying over the past 5 game weeks as well, picking up plenty of goals, plenty of assists, and plenty of points to go with that. A really, really good double. Like I said, Brighton and Manchester United have both been struggling defensively in terms of XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks, so it could be an absolute feast for Alexander Isak. Now, finishing up, it is going to be Nicholas Jackson, a brace plus an assist for him today against West Ham. Now, there is a few things. I wasn't previously on the Jackson hype train. I'm now starting to be converted. My only concern is this. West Ham, going into this game week, were 19th for XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks. They've not been a good defence. Now, is that because, you know, Jackson's done well and he's a good player, or is it because West Ham are a really, really dodgy side? That's how we kind of have to look at this one. Is it that, you know, Jackson's just done well against the poor defence, or is he actually a good player that can continue to deliver returns? He's got 13 Premier League goals for the season, so it definitely suggests I think he could, and I am starting to kind of drift towards the Jackson hype train, in my personal opinion. It could be a risk, it could backfire. I was tempted with the double Newcastle attackers and put Maguire at the back, but looking at United's defensive data, I think this is probably the best free hit draft you're going to get in the FPL community. Let's have a quick run through of the bench before we finish up today's video. Of course, we've got Onana, we spoke about him, Garnacho as well. If Bruno's fit, Bruno Fernandes could be a really good shout if Son does fail to deliver yet again for Spurs this afternoon. Branthwaite's in here. I just wanted to showcase some single game week players that might, potentially be going under the radar. Everton defensively as well in terms of clean sheets are second. Branthwaite, Sheffield United, that pongs of a clean sheet to me. And then Gabriel as well against Manchester United. They are the best defence in the league by a country mile in terms of expected data and in terms of clean sheets as well. So a really good defence for Arsenal to always be invested in. Even with a single game week, they still could go and get the clean sheet. So just a few options with single game weeks there. Let me know what you think of this free hit draft down in the comments section. If you've got any questions about your team, get them in the comments as well. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.